And teachers, I know that you say you are resting this summer, you're recharging, you're doing all of the things, but I know that you have that Google Doc about back to school that you're planning. So if you're thinking about back to school or you're just wondering about your classroom in the fall, let's get ready together while we talk about some things that could be helpful for your classroom. So starting off strong, the very first thing that I always encourage people to think about is your physical classroom. So like, how are you going to lay out your physical classroom? Where are the desks going to be on the first day of school? Are you going to have them in groups? Are you going to have them in rows? Are you going to have them in U-shape, right? How is your physical layout of your classroom going to be, and where are materials going to be so that they're efficiently accessed by students? Like, not that cute little, like, oh, I have any cutesy little demo, like, no, we don't want that. We want it to be efficient. We want them to be able to get it, get back to their seat, 30 seconds or less, no talking, ready to go. So that's the first thing, thinking about your physical classroom. If your physical classroom is already ready to go, you feel good about that. The next thing that I always encourage people to think about is your routines and procedures. So what is a routine and a procedure? A routine is anything that you ask your students to do in your classroom, and a procedure is once that routine has become memorized. So now it's something that students do just automatically. They don't even have to think about it. They just can do that procedure, okay? And so think about anytime you are going to ask students to do something. You're gonna ask them to get a pencil, you're gonna ask them to get tissue, or they're gonna ask you, right? Anytime you're gonna ask them to do something or they're gonna ask you to do something, you need a procedure for that. I have a list of a bunch of procedures that you could think of as a good starting place, and I always encourage teachers, like, you have to be clear first before you can teach your students what you expect out of them. And so the first thing that I would suggest is that you sit down and write out exactly what you want your routines and procedures to be. And so, for example, like your pencil routine, do you want students to be able to get a pencil in the middle of a lesson? What happens if their pencil goes dull? Where are going to be the extra pencils? What's going to be the procedure for them to get an extra pencil? Like, all of that little nuance, you don't want to be deciding during back to school, because it's so much like brain heaviness, and you want to already have that like done, ready to go. So think about your routines and procedures, script them all out, and then plan to roll them out with students. I think a lot of teachers do the scripting part really well. They're like, oh, this is exactly how I want to do this, but they don't necessarily think about exactly how they're going to teach their students those routines and procedures. And if you have a routine or procedure you want me to model, like how I teach it or how I roll it with my students, drop it in the comments and I'd be happy to do that for you. I think I did like pencils, passing out papers, and lining up procedures last year, so I can do whatever you guys need me to do. You have your physical classroom set up, you have your routines and procedures. The next thing is, I think routines and procedures are a big classroom management strategy, but you need to think about, how are you going to run your classroom management? What is that going to look like? How are you going to give out consequences? How are you going to redirect students? Like, what do you want your vibe of your classroom to be? I personally like relate with the warm demander. Like, I